Welcome into another edition of The Session with Londa and David. My name is David Austin.
I'm Londa Sherwood-Austin. Welcome back.
This is going to be a good show, Londa, because we're going to do something that goes back to our roots here with the podcast.
Okay.
We have a specific topic that I want to talk about during this entire program. And really, that's just going to get us started because we'll take turns that aren't expected in this broadcast.
That sounds very exciting.
Okay, I'm very excited about it. There's been a lot of talk this week specifically about broadcasters whose jobs have come under fire recently. NPR losing funding from the federal government. Stephen Colbert announcing that his late night show is going to go away. And that brings me to talk about what is our job? What is our job? And it doesn't matter what our particular jobs are, but I mean as people who are in a free market economy, what's our job? That's what I want to talk about on this program.
Okay.
Here's what I mean.
All right.
I was listening this morning to a report on CBS this morning about Stephen Colbert's show going away.
Okay.
And people have been speculating it's because Paramount had to do a settlement with the Trump administration for $16 million or $1 billion, whatever it was. I don't know. I don't know the numbers. But the thing they talked about is late night on CBS loses $40 million a year. So I'm wondering what the job of late night on CBS is. And I think it's to bring in ad revenue. What do you think?
I've never thought about it.
Okay.
I've never, ever even considered it. It has zero effect on my life.
It doesn't,
I've never,
and I'll
ever
get to
thought about it.
why it does impact your
Interesting.
life. I'll get to why it impacts your life.
Okay. I've never considered it. What is the job of late night television?
Yes.
To entertain.
I don't think that's correct.
Well, that's fine.
I think it's to sell commercials. I think it's to make money for the network. It's to grow the network's revenue base, not shrink it.
Well, then, okay, if we're talking about that, the job of anything is to grab attention.
Absolutely. Because if you grab attention
is the commodity.
Then it can be monetized.
Yep.
Okay. So if a program's losing $40 million a year, probably not sustainable. Would you agree with that?
No, not at all sustainable. If anything's losing money, something's got to change.
Every single business in America is that way in a capitalist society. So really what I want to talk about is what is the mark of a successful business? And it's not eyes on television and eyes on YouTube and eyes on TikTok. It's revenue and the ultimate opportunity to help people. That's what I think. What do you think?
What was the question again?
What is the reason for a business?
Oh, well, the answer is going to be different depending on who you are, how your brain's wired, what your personality type is, what your goals in life are. I mean, that answer will be different for every person. However, go ahead.
And that's why I want to talk about what's your job. What is your job? What's my job?
Well, my job, I feel like, is to make people's lives better.
Okay.
Honestly, that's what it comes down to. I talk a lot about revenue, income, money. I do, because that's what makes the world go round. But without revenue, I can't make people's lives better.
Okay.
And that's really ultimately, I want to make everybody around me, I want to make their lives better, and I want to make my life better. You know, I like ease and comfort and not having to stress about things. So, you know, it's better for me if I have the revenue so I don't have to stress. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I like making people's lives better by helping them buy and sell homes. It's just no matter what I am doing in life, the idea is to make the people around me have a better life, whatever better means for them, support them in their stuff, and, you know, the piece of the puzzle that I've fallen into that seems to work well for me is real estate, helping people. I'm most effective in helping people's lives be better through real estate. I've tried a lot of different things. This seems to be the thing that I'm kind of best at.
I gotcha.
So it's not even about, for me, it's not about being, they talk about if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Sure.
And I'm like, it feels like work. It certainly feels like work. And it's not that I don't love what I do. I love helping people's lives feel better and be better. And it just so happens real estate, helping people buy and sell homes, is the place that I've found that clicks for me to be able to do that.
Okay. And how did you get to real estate as a way to make people's lives better?
Well, I mean, it was really out of desperation to make my life better because I was in, under crushing debt and crushing depression, having just lost both my parents, and at a time in my life where everything seemed a little hopeless, but I know I'm good at sales.
Okay.
Right? So sales has always been, if we're talking about how we make people's lives better, I do it through sales. And people might think, well, that's weird. Well, no, because the whole world runs on buying and selling things. That's just how our world operates. And so sales for me is like, it's my sport and I'm an elite athlete.
I like that.
At it, right? It's the one thing in my life I've always consistently been really good at is figuring out what people need and meeting that need through a product, a service, so whatever. So during this time, under crushing debt, kind of under crushing depression, still, it just was crazy. I'm sure a lot of people can relate. I'm not the only one to go through hard things, right? But I found myself at this place in life of like, okay, now what? I spent a couple of years just being sad, but when you're sad and you don't make forward motion, you things just get worse.
Sure.
Right? So now I'm sad and still not anywhere out of the financial disaster. So then I thought, okay, I'm good at sales. What's a product or service that I could market that has a larger than average return on the investment? And what I mean by that in just lay terms is I love commissioned sales. What's something I could sell that has a high commission amount?
A higher margin product.
That's right.
Yeah. And
so just looking around at the market, I decided on real estate. I love home. Home has always been, it was important to me while raising kids that the home was a safe place. Hopefully they felt some of that this was, I would say things like home is where your weird is okay,
Sure.
Stuff like that. Like this is the place you come to where you're fully accepted and you're okay and where we love and support one another and we're all best friends, that kind of stuff. And so home, the idea of home and where you hang your hat has kind of always been very important to me. And so helping people to navigate home, I thought, I could do that. Maybe I could do that. I love home. I like making money. I'm good at sales. The sales process doesn't really change.
No matter what you're selling.
No matter what you're selling.
Right.
There's some principles that translate. So that's how I got here, I guess.
Okay.
If that's what you're asking me.
So what's your job isn't really what this is about. What's your why is really what this is about. And so your why is you like to help people and you wanted to help your family and you found a way to do both of those things while staying true to your core.
Right.
About how helping people have a nice home is, I don't know the word I'm looking for, is pleasant and hopeful.
It's rewarding to me.
Okay.
And it touches on, for me, it touches on everything that, gives me life, right? So like there's a part of me that's very warm and tender and helping people to buy a home, and I know that they're going to create memories and this is a big step for them, or those kind of things, very warm and heartwarming, right? And then there's a piece of me that's like, has been called a shark, right? Like I love the negotiation and I love getting in there and getting the win for my client. And there's something about the negotiation piece of it that is very exciting to me.
Sure.
And so, and then I love cashing the paycheck at the end. I do. And I never feel bad about it because I work really hard for that.
Sure.
And I know what I put into it, and so, it kind of, I think if you can find something that you do with your life that kind of lights up multiple parts of your brain and provides a living for you, you're one lucky son of a bitch.
So if you can affect the creative side of your brain and the analytical problem-solving side of your brain and keep both of those firing at once, you feel like you're doing something substantial.
Well, for me, yeah.
Okay.
I want, years ago, when I was a young mom at home with tiny babies, I remember thinking and even before that, even as a very young person, 10 years old, I remember dreaming about, and this has been true, a common thread through my whole life. I just want a life that's extraordinary. It was like I was always, one fear of mine is that I would just have an ordinary life that didn't matter.
That's interesting phraseology. An ordinary life that didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
What is an ordinary life that doesn't matter to you?
Well, you come and you go, and you didn't really affect people's lives.
Okay.
You didn't leave a lasting mark.
Okay.
To me, leaving a lasting mark is really important. And how you do it, how I do it, I thought was going to be one way when I was young. And then as I got older, right, that shifts and changes. And
sure. And
sometimes life is very unexpected and you think you're going to be on one trajectory and then all of a sudden it's a totally different trajectory. And I would think, I guess what I'm saying is welcome every upsetting change that happens because you just never know where it's going to lead you.
Okay.
And at the end of my life, I just want to be able to say, wow, that was extraordinary.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That was wild. Somebody said, I was talking with somebody, I don't even remember who it was, and they were talking about getting older. Oh, it was the parents of some friends of ours, Kirsten's parents. And her dad said something about wearing it out. He was talking about his body, and he's in his 80s. Is that
82,
right?
I think.
And he was like, "Oh, my motto's always been just I'm going to wear it out."
Right.
And I loved that.
Talk about a guy who's active, by the way.
Yeah.
Thinking about selling his house because he thinks when he gets really old, he won't want to go up and down stairs. He's 82.
Yeah.
He's seeing that as a future problem, not a today problem.
Right. And I love that. So I don't know if you can put your head on your pillow at night and feel good about the things that you've done and the people that you've interacted with. And, isn't that what it's about? I don't know.
Maybe. Commenting on the things you just said, I think you have already led an extraordinary life. And here's what I mean. You have raised 7 wonderful adults. Wonderful. There's not a dud in the group, right? And every single one you have a relationship with. And that is extraordinary. That's not normal. That is not ordinary. That is not a life that can be forgotten. That's extraordinary. So I think you've already done that.
Yeah, I hope.
So what's next?
Well, I mean, there's just more of that, right?
Right.
There's that group has grown, in case you didn't know.
Right. Yeah.
So those 7 became 14.
Right.
And then those 14 have become another 12, now 13 more.
Right. And we're talking about the relationships that they've formed and then the grandchildren that they've had.
Yeah. And then I've got 2 bonus kids now.
Mm-hmm. They're pretty awesome.
You know, that's a lot of numbers. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of people.
That's extraordinary. That's not ordinary and forgettable.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. So your why is to leave a mark. Your why is to help the people you love and service through your business, and to cash the checks at the end of the transaction.
Well, yeah, because I can do more, right?
Yes.
The business is, okay, let me just give you a really practical reason. You know, the business is growing. Mm-hmm. And the business grew enough, the real estate business grew enough that I could bring on my daughter.
Right.
What a dream.
Yeah.
That there's nothing better than that, right?
And she's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Getting to hang out every day with Ada is pretty darn nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
And then, and it's interesting, right? And then I get to see how she works and how she thinks. And if I can, you know, help her to grow and be more of who, you know, she's kind of destined, if you will, to be.
Yeah.
What a privilege. Right. And then, you know, if we can, the more that the real estate business grows, the more that the mortgage business grows, the more lives we can affect, the more people that we can, you know, and to me, having a successful business is one that grows and you can bring on more people and affect their lives as well. Not just on the clients that we buy and sell with, but like
the people we employ.
Yeah. Yeah. What's that called?
I don't know what you're saying.
Not faculty, not employee, but this is welcome to
partner, team member.
Welcome to menopause. When you know the words,
I don't know the words you're trying to say.
There.
I don't know what you're trying to say. So
staff was the word I was looking for. That's right.
Now
I couldn't think of the word staff.
Now let's go back. Now that staff's part of the equation, start that thought over, because I don't know where you were going with that.
Well, just growing the businesses to where you can add staff members, and now you're helping other people's lives get better.
Right.
Because you're employing them, and, you know, and that is something that I want to do. I would love to be able to have a business big enough to employ people and provide so they can have a life that they think is extraordinary.
Right.
Right? So, yeah.
I agree with that.
That's...
For me, I've said it a million times on this program, just like you've said, for me, my goal in life is to help more people. And the way I do that is through connections with others. And if I can grow my sphere large enough, I'll be able to help more people kind of in an exponential way. And so my why is just like your why. The profitability part of it's less important to me than it is to you, but that's okay. There's no judgment there. But here's why I wanted to talk about this today, because nothing we've said has anything to do with interest rates or market trends. And that's what people, specifically in real estate and lending, forget about.
Yeah.
If you don't know your why, the factors that you can't control will pull you down.
Right.
And if you do know your why, there's no stopping you. There is no market trend that can change that you want to help more people.
Right.
Market trends don't control whether or not you can help more people.
Right. I've never been able to put my I've been a business coach for over 20 years, right? And I've helped a lot of people discover their why.
Right. Because you believe in it.
Sure.
And you haven't discovered yours. Is that where you're going with this?
I've never, ever been able to really define it beyond my children, right? So like when I was a full-time homeschool mom with a business on the side, the why was easy to define.
Okay.
Okay. It was to help my children know who they are and what's possible in the world.
So flashback 20 years, what's your job? That's your job.
Right. But I just wrote down a sentence that I've never been able to articulate before. So thank you for this conversation. To have an extraordinary life and help others do the same. And extraordinary is defined individually.
Sure.
So
I think your life is extraordinary. I know it is. And you can keep working on other extraordinary things. It's funny that I think what's extraordinary about your life was your job 20 years ago.
Yeah. I waffle between the idea that there's like these two sides, like the devil angel, right? Almost kind of thing is, or maybe it's just the two sides of my brain, or it's the negative and the positive or something. But I waffle between, wow, this is really an extraordinary life. And in 3 generations, everyone will forget who you are. So does it even matter? And literally that pinball bouncing back and forth between those two thoughts is like the daily struggle inside my brain. Mm-hmm. It all matters. None of it matters is like the boop, 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 boop.
Well, that's kind of what William Shatner said.
I need medication.
That's kind of like what William Shatner said, Captain Kirk, after he went to space with Jeff Bezos' crew at Blue Origin. He looked down at the Earth and got crushingly depressed.
Yeah.
And thought that his world was so big and so extraordinary. And then when he saw the Earth down below, they're in low Earth orbit. So it's not like they're in outer space, but they're in low Earth orbit, and he could see the entire Earth, and he thought, oh, I don't really matter at all.
And I guess that's why I come around to if you're not changing people's lives, if you're not affecting people's lives in a positive way, there is absolutely no purpose on this earth, period. End of story. Fight me. Fight me on that.
Well, and I say no matter what your job is, if your why is to positively impact other people's lives, it doesn't matter what your job is.
And you know what else doesn't matter? The economy.
It doesn't.
The market trends, the interest rates, none of it matters.
You can tell me, well, this doesn't apply to me because I'm a checker at a grocery store. Well, it does apply to you, because if somebody's having a rough day and they come into your check stand and you're nice to them and make them feel connected, they may not get behind the wheel of their car and drive off a cliff. Do you know what I mean?
That's heavy, but
it's real.
You're not wrong.
It's absolutely real.
Yep.
Every single interaction somebody has in their life can create a ripple effect that can cause real change in the world.
Right.
So why not look for those opportunities? Why not try to be a positive force rather than a negative force?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
People who do nothing but sit around and complain, I don't know how they're going to have a impactful life. I don't.
Well, they will. It'll just be negatively impacted.
So I guess for you, your job is to have an extraordinary life. That's your job. And you're doing it through the work of real estate.
Yeah.
And the work of parenthood.
Yeah.
Those are things you've chosen to do to be extraordinary. And you thought this had no point when I started talking about Stephen Colbert losing his job at CBS.
I didn't feel like that. I'm just along for the ride today.
Have you ever heard of a job where they give you 10 months notice that they're going to cancel your job? I've never heard of that. That's an interesting thing. And how do you feel motivated for the next 10 months when you know that your job's going away no matter how well you do?
Well, I can answer that question. It's like mortality motivation.
Okay.
These are now I know what the drop dead date is. These are the things I want to do. These are the the things that must be accomplished before that drop dead date. I would think that would be super motivating, actually, and you can do it without regret. You don't have to worry that you're going to get fired or that you're going to, what are they going to do, fire me? Is really freeing. Really freeing.
I gotcha.
Yeah, then you can work authentically. Because just like when you and I were hiking together and working together and we weren't romantically linked at all.
Right.
We were very free to be very authentic.
Right.
And I think that was the magic of what actually built our relationship, was that authenticity, because we didn't think the other there was no possibility of a romantic thing here.
Because
both of us were thinking
way
that.
Too awesome for me.
But
that's what I thought.
This is what we've discovered. Yes. But we both thought, oh, that's not a possibility. So we're just friends and that's cool. But then because of that, we were so authentic with one another, we ended up falling in love. And I think that might be actually the secret to all of life, is being authentic to who you are so that love can be exchanged.
I think that's good. I think that's really, really good.
Aww.
And that's kind of the motto of the Universal Life Church. You know?
I don't know.
I'm a wedding officiant because I got my
credentials,
ordination from the Universal Life Church. And I really like their beliefs. And their beliefs is whatever you believe, that's perfectly wonderful.
Yeah.
You know what? I think that's a really good motto. You know, I think that's great, which is why I tell people I'm a fiscal conservative, but I'm a social liberal. And what that really means is I want to be able to do whatever you and I want to do privately, but I don't want to have to pay taxes for that right. And that's it. So being authentic, authenticity is a great way to look at that. So what's your job? Authenticity. That's your job.
Yeah. And you know, to just be, you know, it's interesting though, like when you start looking at all of this stuff, you start kind of analyzing it, looking at like your motivating factors in life and your personality and your, you know, those kind of things. And I know that for me, growth is one of my biggest driving factors in life. You know, if you're not growing, you're dying. It really is a deep, deep motto of mine. And so to be authentic, I have to be growing in some way.
What be more specific about growing? Like self-help stuff, like learning about yourself?
Well, it can be anything. You know, if I'm growing in my knowledge about fill in the blank.
Okay.
Right.
So always be learning. Yeah,
kind of. Yeah. Maybe you're growing in your business knowledge, or maybe you're growing in, whatever, something that interests you, just as long as there's growth there.
Yeah.
You know, we're learning new shit, super important to me.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Whether it be whatever. I just got a juicer recently, so I'm learning about the health benefits of juicing, and I'm learning all these recipes, and I'm learning how to put the machine together and take it apart. That was a whole thing. And to me, that's growth, because I'm learning something new.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, but it could be, you know, I was just on a Zoom call this morning for an hour where I'm learning about business and different ideas in how to run a real estate business and how to work. And that to me is growth.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think it comes in all different kind of ways. You could maybe call it evolution too. Like, as long as I'm evolving in something. For example, I was talking about the difference in my open house follow-up now than it used to be, right? I used to be very, and sales have trends, right? So 20 years ago, sales was very like Wolf of Wall Street, right? It's the hard close.
Right.
It's the, you lock them in and you lock them down and you kind of hold them and put your foot on their neck until they say yes.
Sure.
Kind of idea, right?
Yeah.
And it's just not that way anymore. Nobody wants that kind of sales technique if you're still using it. Like, But more like my open house follow-up now is if I get an email or if I get a phone number, I'll send a message, but with an out, right? I'm like, thanks so much for coming to our open house. It's always nice when the seller goes to so much trouble to prepare their home and someone actually shows up. So we really appreciate meeting you. And as I mentioned, we'd love to earn your business. But I always put like this little caveat in there of you won't hear from us again unless we hear back from you.
I gotcha.
So I don't want to, like, I'm not going to spam people. I'm not going to do the hard press, the hard sell. You know what I mean?
Sure.
There's a time and a place for that, but there's, not as well. And to me, that's also growth. Okay. So it's just one of my core values. One of your core values is kindness,
right? And
people thinking well of you because of how you are kind in your interactions.
Right.
And so that comes, I'm sure you're growing in the way that expresses itself all the time.
Yeah. I care more about how my words impact people than I ever have before. I think about that now more than I ever have.
We just had
before.
A conversation this morning over our first cup of coffee where you were talking about you had asked for some assets having to do with the business, and it came and it looked great, but there was a mistake in it. And when you contacted the person to correct the assets, you said first what looked good and what was great about what they sent over.
Right.
Then you asked for the change, the correction.
Right.
Right. And you were talking about how that I think was growth for you.
Well, that is growth because it's important to you, to hear the positive and then some constructive criticism.
Well, it's important for most people.
Yeah.
Because when you tell them what they're doing right, it puts them in a comfortable space to then receive some correction.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And I was very thoughtful about that in that communication.
Word. Thoughtful.
Yeah. I because let me tell you why. The person that I was talking to is someone who I love as a close, personal, familial relationship. And I don't want to hurt my close, personal, familial relationships. You know what I mean? But
which, to be fair, is how you feel about just about every person in your life.
Yeah, but specifically this person, right? And yeah, so I was very thoughtful.
Yeah.
And that is growth because I'm not at all introspective typically. I don't like to think about what I'm doing. I don't like to think about how I don't like to think about me. I like to think about other people.
Right.
But I had to think about me.
But introspection is
a form of kindness, and I've learned that from you. I have learned that from you. Isn't that interesting?
It is. I think this whole show's been interesting.
Me too. Anything you want to talk about before we get off the air? We have 1 minute and 2 seconds.
Not really. I mean, this was a sharp left turn. I would invite people, though, to share this podcast with someone that you like. You never know what you're going to get here at the session with Londa and David. It took a different turn today, but that was a fun time.
It did take a different turn to me.
Okay. Well,
I knew exactly what I wanted to talk about because that story is so ridiculous.
And here's what I said. I have too much on my plate to format our podcast this week, David. It's on you.
That's exactly right.
Nice job. Nice job. I think this was really fun and informative. Please share it with someone. Subscribe to the podcast and like it and share it.
And you can always go to SherwoodAustin.com if you want to know more about what we're doing. That's SherwoodAustin.com. This program is brought to you each week by Sherwood Austin Homes, helping you make all the right moves. For Londa, Joanne, Sherwood Austin, my name's David Austin, and this has been another edition of The Session with Londa and David. See you next week.